What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Halftime Snacks podcast. This show features short interviews that you can listen during the halftime of your favorite sports events. Every Tuesday, I host fun conversations with talented people in the sports industry where we'll learn from their stories, knowledge, and experiences. So go grab your favorite snack and come snack with us. Are you ready? Let's go! Welcome, everybody. Today I'll be snacking with an exceptional guest. She is widely experienced in content creation, campaigns, digital marketing, with years of a solid background in the sports and fashion industries. Today she is the Chief Marketing Officer at Colosseum. Colosseum is an innovation group based in Tel Aviv that provides technology, tools, and exposure to help grow the sports technology ecosystem in Israel and worldwide. I can't wait for this conversation, so go grab some of your favorite snacks and join me in my discussion with Fernanda Rojtenberg.
Hi, Ronan. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be here.
No, it's a pleasure to host you. The way I start these podcast episodes and interviews is that I roll it up with a fun icebreaker, to get us going, to get us all warmed up. So, so my icebreaker for you is I want to ask you, what is, if you can share with us one fun fact about you that not so many people know about you.
Oh, wow. That's tough. Let's see. I don't feel like a lot of people know that in the industry, but my favorite sport is actually powerlifting. I used to practice powerlifting back in Brazil, and it's an unusual sport, especially for a girl to talk about. So I think that's a fun fact to start the day. The strong part of the sports is what I like.
Wow, powerlifting, and would have never guessed. So I think that's a great fun fact. Thank you so much for sharing. As you mentioned, you're from Brazil. You then moved to Israel and now work at Colosseum. We're gonna, be learning more about you throughout the episode, and throughout, what you do at Colosseum. So how about you maybe start off by just sharing with us how exactly does a regular work week look like for you at Colosseum? What it is that you do, on a weekly basis? Marketing and chief marketing officer can entail a lot of things in different companies, different roles. But for you specifically, what is a week for you look like?
So actually it varies a lot. Like for the past 2.5 months, I've been fully focused on the Sports Tech Nation, which is our biggest event. So my agenda was kind of booked and focused on making sure that we were delivering the event that we delivered last week. So a lot of campaigns, a lot of meetings. Actually, my part in Colosseum goes beyond the marketing. I have a lot of strategic saying on the company as well. So closing the sponsors, closing the speakers was big part of my agenda. Like I said, for the past 90 days. But on a daily day basis, there's a lot of content to create. We put out a lot of reports and a lot of events that I need to make sure to engage the community, as well as social media content, presentations, research. There's a lot of research in the background for our clients and for our partners. So depending on the week, depending on what's coming next, this changes and varies, but that's pretty much it.
And I mean, you had a background, from what I researched on the fashion industry, and of course it's probably could be similar in the sports industry in some ways, but absolutely different in other ways. So I wonder, how exactly do you align to, what type of personality traits that you have are aligned to the sports industry, or how exactly do you find yourself fitting in the sports industry that you didn't find yourself fitting in fashion industry? If you can share just one or two personality traits or realizations that you figured when you first started at Coliseum. It was 1 or 2 years ago, right?
So I've joined the Colosseum over 2 years ago, and actually my first idea to come to Israel was to continue working with fashion, and I found myself in sports now. But yeah, the biggest similarity between fashion and sports is the lifestyle aspect of it. Like you're working with people's emotions and what the need that they have to either attend a game or buy a product or be involved in a lifestyle of the person that you're trying to attract. But one thing that I find different in a way, and that I love about sports is the passion involved. And I've always been a very passionate person, not only about fashion, but also about like my club. Like I'm a Chelsea fan by heart. So it's always been like I'm the kind of person that pays the membership. And of course, I'm a little bit far away to attend games, but every time that I get to support, and that's what made me fall in love so easily for sports, because the fan will follow your club and whatever sports you're trying to cover uh, throughout their lives. And I think that's beautiful, and that's what I think fit well with my life right now.
I didn't know you're a Chelsea fan. I'm also a Chelsea fan, so that's a good thing because else I would have caught the episode right there, you know. But yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with you. I feel like, you know, people in sports, there's just so much passion, and not sure about fashion, but I know that here there's just so much energy as well. Like people here working,
Exactly.
there's just high energy people that are, you know, always looking for new things and innovate and new products and new technologies. You know, Israel plays a very interesting part in that, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But the whole like sports being, you know, the health, like from the health perspective, like that kind of like pushes people from the business perspective and the technology perspective as well to, you know, motivate and do other things for the same industry, which I think is like it's a very positive and virtuous circle of, you know, effects. And you that you do marketing specifically in both, you know, technology and and sports, like that intersection, how exactly do you find that, you know, marketing element of how you speak to different customers, or you speak to different brands, or speak to different partners for Colosseum specifically? How are they unique relative to other industries, or things that you found interesting from, you know, from what they are interested? Is there one or two lessons, marketing lessons, you know, specifically for either content or campaigns? What is it that is driving those brands or companies in the sector that kind of like impressed you the most?
um I feel like the creating like special content and making sure that you are leveraging your partners has been something very special in the sports tech community. Like being part of the sports tech community is understanding that you are not alone and you cannot go anywhere alone. It's a product that depends on others to grow. So I feel like understanding that you have to be placed in a way in a, I don't know, platform or social media that your community is very important. And also like feeding your community with interesting things, like from not only your things but also like sharing the podcast and sharing like whatever Pico is doing this week and other companies are doing. It's very important. So one thing that I've learned and I've been learning throughout this past 2 years is it doesn't matter how much money you put in advertising and digital campaigns. If your community is not involved, you are not going anywhere. And the sports technician is a proof of that. Like our highest engagements, they come from people reposting our stuff and us tagging them and creating this structure of marketing. So community is key here.
No, I love it. You know, specifically as a content creator, I know where you're coming from the community side. Of course, there's just so much buzz around, you know, content online that gets pushed through, you know, paid advertising and clickbaity content, articles or videos that do not contain lots of value. And I feel like you guys at Colosseum, you guys do a very very good effort and special effort on providing content that is actually valuable, that is actually teaching people something, that is, bringing people together and making them discuss about interesting topics that will be relevant for founders, startups, and companies in the industry that will evolve the industry. So I want to maybe talk about that element of Coliseum that you were very 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 much involved. You mentioned the Sports Tech Nation, which was a conference that you guys organized just last week. For those listening that do not know what it was just a conference that they organized, thousands of attendees and speakers and partners, and it was a great event. So what that tells you about what people are interested. I mean, of course, people are interested with getting to know each other, connecting with people from all different geographics and everything, and being there. How are you guys? What you guys learned about that specific event, and how is that going to shape the strategy of Coliseum moving forward? If you want to mention a little bit of what are you planning based on the results of that event and moving forward.
So the first thing is that we have a lot of interesting content to talk about. Like the 12 hours that we put there, it's just a small fraction of everything that is going on. And like we see that creating the agenda, how tough it is to try and put together this content. So, and there's a lot of solutions and a lot of brands and like a lot of players in the market that we still need to feature. So like I think that's the first lesson, is that there's endless content, and we hope that throughout the upcoming years we manage to bring more and more into the Sports Tech Nation, and that we need to go global. Like we hosted, we are going global. We've been going global. That's a reality. Like 2020, we also had the online version with around 3,000 people, and this year with almost 4,000 people joining us with an event happening at the Bloomfield Stadium here in Tel Aviv. And I feel like we have this space to become like an international conference for the sports tech community. Even though in 2019 and 2018 we had people coming to Israel, I feel like we have the space to go outside of Israel now. Like, and that's our goal for the upcoming events and like upcoming months with the Sports Tech Nations, to make sure that we put it not only here in Tel Aviv, but we bring like Sports Tech Nation to different regions and give it a little bit of a taste, not only online but like physical, because I think that's where the world is moving towards in 2022. I think people are starting to get tired of being only in the screen. Not saying that it's gonna die, but I think it's important to take a step forward into this globalization of the event.
And how exactly do you guys switch from being local and, of course, having content in Hebrew and supporting Israeli startups that are connected to your network? How do you transition from that specific model that you guys have? I don't know if you guys listening heard the episode I did with Tomer. This was probably over a year ago. I hosted Tomer Yehudayan, who was head of knowledge at Colosseum. We spoke about how Israel and how Colosseum is involved in the whole sports tech ecosystem. How do you switch from that mindset that you just shared there, that you guys are planning to go global? How do you shift that mindset from a marketing and strategic perspective? Like how do you go about like serving a wider market rather than focusing on just the local companies that you've been working throughout the last few years? Like how do you switch that mindset inside for the team and for the people working with you, and how do you go about thinking about making that transition from a branding perspective, meaning that Colosseum is now not only for Israeli startups or companies here that are involved in sports tech, but also throughout the whole world?
I feel like for Colosseum, it's been natural to do this transition. In a way, the companies that we are working with, like the Israeli companies, they are also in this process. And like you can hear a lot of people talking about how Israel is a great side. It's a great market to be the beta side of a company, and then you have to scale out outside of it. So that's one aspect. And the second aspect is that there's a lot more things happening outside. There's a lot of more companies needing the technologies that are here, and we see that with a lot of big names from Player Maker and Pixelot and Playside and other amazing companies that are going to Europe, South America, and so on. So our community showed us, and going back to community, I know that I've been talking about a lot about that. It shows how necessary it is and how we have a space to do so, and also like the exchange of knowledge coming from the other hubs. That is a natural transition because we have partnerships with YLab and Arena Hub from Brazil that we see that we can benefit from each other in many, many aspects. So it's not like we're trying to bring startups from outside. It's the other way around. We want to bring the people from inside abroad. Like we want to make sure that we are giving the highlight and putting the spotlight the companies that are here. And it's a need. Like we feel every day that it's a need. Israel is awesome, it's great, but limited resources. Every country has limited resources, so you have to go global if you wanna be 20 years from now in the industry. Leverage your local ecosystem, but abroad of it. Like go
100%. 100%. I agree with you, at Fernanda. And you have something very similar to me. That is that we both came to Israel from, we were not born there. You were born in Rio, in Brazil.
Yeah.
I was born in Mexico City. Then I went to Israel. Then I came back. But whatever. The story is that you have the perspective of what Israel looks like from an outsider, or from someone that comes from abroad and gets to know Israelis as they are. What is it, in your opinion, about Israelis? Because I feel like getting your opinion is so much different than getting it from Tomer. What do you feel like it's about Israelis that make them such an interesting, community or group of people that are interested in innovation and interested in technology? And now, as you guys mentioned it, the sports tech nation, you're even expressing that Israel is really the place where sports are going to take their next leap forward, which I'm super bullish around, and I agree 100% with. But what is it about Israelis that makes them this type of people? What is your opinion around that?
I could go back to my answer and say the need. The structure of the country makes the need to be innovative, and I feel you probably felt the same when you were here. And the resilience. I feel like resilience is a great word to describe the people here, and how they can adapt to certain situations that maybe we were not used to. So it helps them be adaptive to other communities and other countries and understand other cultures, which I find it very amazing. Like I find it amazing. But yeah, I feel the need is the first one factor here. From like getting water, you had to be innovative to other parts. So it's part of the country. It's part of like the Israeli. And you can say the chutzpah as well. I feel like a lot of people say the chutzpah, but I think this was born with the Israeli.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree with you, and I'd probably add that given that sports is such a like high energy industry, as we were talking right at the beginning, Israelis are also considered, in my opinion, high energy and very proactive and very always seeking for challenges and new things, and very high energy as well, like probably compared to maybe the Danish people or the Finnish people, that they're more maybe lower energy. Maybe that makes it the difference. And since the industry itself is high energy, Israelis fit very, very well. That's my opinion. Probably many people are gonna disagree with me, but that's okay. You guys can hit me up on the socials or in the newsletter, and we can talk about that. Fernanda, what is I mean, I wanna get your insight on probably the companies that you're, or the sides, the sectors, or the types of technology that you're most bullish around, because you're always exposed to so many sectors and companies and technologies. Is there one or two that you'd like to share with us? Sectors that you're super bullish around?
Um, yeah, I mean, I could go with the trends and talk about blockchain and AI and all this like NFTs word, which I find it very interesting, don't get me wrong. But
You got some NFTs? You bought some NBA Top Shots, or what do you have?
I don't have any NFT, sorry to disappoint. Of course, I've been engaging with different platforms like Socios and so on, but I don't know, there's something about training other abilities of the body that fascinates me. Like you spoke to Costa, and I always tell them that I'm a huge fan of iBrain and cognitive training. This era is always been like something that it's so far from what I'm doing that kind of, I don't know, amuses me. And of course, all the fan engagement, it's close to the heart. So as a marketing person, fan engagement platforms is always something that interests us. So yeah, I feel like these two verticals, they will always be like my main focus to read and to get to learn more. But anything like Colosseum is impossible working for Colosseum or any innovation hub to not get the knowledge and try to learn more and more about what's happening in the market. So
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Costa, which actually you were the one that connected us. So
yeah, I know.
so that was great. Hopefully, you can connect us with more innovative and exciting companies that are coming up in the next couple of years, so we can have them here on the halftime snacks, and we can say that Fernanda is the one that brought them to the halftime snacks. Fernanda, this has been fun. This has been interesting, and I always wrap the episode up with maybe a more personal question to get to know
Sure.
you. So the one I prepared for you, probably not a very sophisticated one, but I wanted to know if there's any quote that you live by, or that you have it as your mantra, that you want to share it with us.
Um, I've always believed in it's a very like normal quote and everyone knows it, but be the change you wish to see in the world, because even though it's a traditional quote and people hear that all the time, I think it's a beautiful statement, and you should live by that. Like if you don't make the change in your own environment, who will, you know? So I've always been that. I have like on my room in my house back in Rio, like in the wall, I have like this like uh it's like a sticker or something. So it's always been with me, and it will always be. So I know it's a typical one, but it's one that I really like.
Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy learning about the business and technology behind sports, make sure you subscribe to the Sports Tech Biz newsletter. I'll leave the link in the show notes. See you all next week. Bye bye.